Here we go. Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Presents Sheen Procs. This is a new podcast we've been putting together. You may notice some faces in here. Of course, my name is Ponophobia. You may recognize my voice as the host of Trinity Force Podcast, like I said just a moment ago. I am joined this week by Jaden the Broker.
Hello.
Of course, and Shade is with me as well. He is our editor for ggChronicle.
Hi.
And you may notice that Sotir is with us as well. He is part of the Trinity Force Podcast.
Oh, am I actually officially part of the Trinity Force podcast? That's really exciting.
You are an official member.
I'm glad to be here.
And
Go me.
Before I introduce the person that we're interviewing this week, you may want to know what Sheen Procs is. This is a new interview series that Trinity Force is putting on where we bring, per week, we bring a professional on and we interview them. We try to give fast, rapid-fire questions, and we just try to get as many questions, as many answers as we can within about a half an hour period of time. If it goes a little over, we'll try to keep it about a half an hour. So, with that being said, I want to introduce Hood Stomp, CLG Black's AD carry. How you doing, dude?
Doing good.
That's great. So, I hear you got to play today. I hope you're not, all defeated or anything about it, because I was trying to watch as much as I could.
No, I'm alright. It was kind of a silly scrim. But, yeah.
But that's good. We saw you guys play this last week in the GG Classic. People have been able to see you play in the bottom lane. I think I casted a game where I want to say you played against Orbit. I don't remember who it was, but you were dominating bottom lane and everything. So we're really excited to have you on here and interview today. So we're just going to roll right into the questions. Can you tell anybody out there who you are, what CLG Black is, and what role you play and why you've been in that role?
Name's Hood Stomp. I play AD carry. CLG Black is CLG's second North American team. We're a team hand-selected by CLG, basically to be their brother team, just another team to practice against so we can help each other become better and improve instead of really screaming other teams and helping them get better at the same time. So, yeah.
Okay. How did you become a member of CLG Black?
When I was on CLG Black, I was on Orbit Gaming, but we're having some team troubles, and our AP mid for Orbit Gaming's Link115, he was talked to by Hotshot, they're good friends or something, and Hotshot basically told him, hey, we're putting together a team, I really like you, you're a good mid, do you want to be on the team? And Link was interested, so he came to me and asked if I wanted to go with him, because he wanted to take me with him if he went on a different team, and yeah, Hotshot agreed, and we got together some other players, Bloodwater, Psycho Sid, and did a tryout. We did very well, actually beating CLG Prime in a lot of our first scrims, and they decided they liked us and wanted to pick us up for the team.
Well, that's what I like to hear. I like to hear it when new people come in and are able to give the old pros a run for the money. Not to say that any of them are bad at what they do, because no one is. All the pro teams definitely wipe the floor with a lot of people. So good to have you there. And how did you get really wrapped into the role of AD carry? Have you been playing that for very long since the beginning, or was it something you just picked up one day and were like, hey, this is pretty cool?
Last season when I played Season 1, I feel like people weren't really locked into roles. People basically just played every lane and whatever they were good at. And then it seemed like the game got a lot more competitive and people started only playing one role and saying, oh, this is my main, whatever. I just played a lot of Corki. I used to play a lot of Corki, top lane, mid lane when I was playing in Season 1. And when people started to shift to playing specific roles, I was like, well, this is my best hero, so I'll just play bottom lane a lot. So I kind of got locked into it. I got really good at it, and I just stuck with it because it's my best role, I guess.
Okay. Hey, I'll open the floor up to either any of the other people on this podcast. Why don't one of you guys take over the role now?
Just a question about competing and being CLG's brother team. You guys obviously want to win Season 2, either CLG Prime, CLG Black, and it's in your advantage to do that. But are you trying to beat CLG Black to the punch and try to get the prize for yourselves? Are you fighting to get it to yourself? And how's the reaction in between the two teams? Is there a rivalry at all?
It's not really a rivalry. I mean, it's all good. We're all friends, and obviously we're teammates. But basically the way it is, the way Hotshot runs the organization, he just wants us to be the best that we can be. So whether it's CLG Black that wins Season 2 or CLG Prime, CLG EU, he doesn't care. He just wants one of us to win and one of us to be the best. And whoever is the best will basically represent the CLG organization as a whole. So it's just whoever performs better is going to be the top team.
When do you take over the main name, though, that Prime name? I mean, obviously you're moving on in the GG Classic. CLG Prime is not. Sadly, CLG EU is not. You're always going to be the little brother to those two teams, I feel like. But if you win a couple of tournaments, do you feel like you'll have to be upgraded in your name? How do you want that recognition to happen in the organization?
Well, yeah, basically, like I said, if we play well, I do think we deserve some recognition, and we should start moving up in the ranks. So, yeah, just we got to improve and do better.
Great.
Pretty much.
Well, I mean, you have been doing well as of late. We're very excited to see it. We hope you do well continuing on in the GG Classic. Into some more game-related questions. How would you compare Corki and Graves? You mentioned Corki is kind of your preferred champion going through Season 1, but in Season 2 came around, Graves came out. You were very well known for playing Graves. So how do you compare them, especially release Graves, and how do you compare them now that both of them have received a couple of nerfs over time?
This is funny because I was actually just having this conversation with my teammate Zuna. When Graves was first released, he was pretty much completely broken. I remember specifically before I ever played him, I was in a game. I was Warwick. I had like Wriggles, Frozen Heart, and Randallins, and I tried to fight him, and he just like killed me in 2 seconds. I was like, well, that's pretty balanced. So I don't know. He's received a lot of nerfs now. I still think he's very strong and overall just a strong and very safe pick for the bottom lane. I pretty much think the same about Corki. Right now, in the current state of the game, they're probably both completely even. So, yeah. I don't know, maybe Graves probably scales a little bit better into the late game because of his steroid, but Corki has better early game damage. But overall, I think they're just even and very strong and safe picks for the bottom lane right now.
Do you ever feel mana restricted on Corki more so than on Graves? And also, as a second part to that question, if the answer is simply a yes or no, talk to us about Trinity Force, when you might build it on an AD carry, and which AD carries is it actually viable on?
I don't really feel mana restricted on Corki or Graves. If I'm playing a certain lane where I feel like I'm going to have to push, I'll get Meditation and Masteries, and that usually solves my mana problems. But I'd probably more so feel mana restricted on Corki. I believe he has higher mana costs, and you spam more on him because of Rockets. So, yeah. But Trinity Force, hold on, let me think about the AD carries. I believe Corki is pretty much the only AD you would ever build Trinity Force. I actually built Trinity Force on Graves in the GG Classic against MTW, but that was only because I went back to base and I had like literally 5k gold. I was like, what should I buy? And I just bought a Trinity Force. So that was just me kind of trolling and being really far ahead. But when do you buy Trinity Force on Corki? If you want to be tanky earlier in the lane, you want to buy Phage and get the extra HP and damage. It's really good to buy. If you're playing a lane where you feel like you need to chase someone down, it's good. Like if you start the fight, say you have like a Soraka Corki, and you start the fight, and you can fight them early and they do damage, but you heal up and then they're running away and you're chasing them. So you can have the Phage to slow them down and keep getting damage in. But yeah, generally maybe you want to build Trinity Force like in the AoE comp where you need more burst from the Sheen prog. But I don't know, with Corki it's just sometimes you want IE, sometimes you want Trinity, sometimes you want BT. It's kind of hard to explain. I do them all, so I don't know, but you usually end up building Trinity on Corki, whether it's early or late, so it's just good on him. I don't think it's good on any other AD carries, really.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess the only other debate would be Ezreal, but I mean, certainly that can go.
I wasn't thinking about Ezreal. Yes, Ezreal. You build Trinity on Ezreal almost every game. Trinity is really good on Ezreal because it procs off his Q, and all Ezreal really wants to do is kite. Pretty much you hit someone with a Q, and you run away, and they're slowed, and then you hit them with another Q. Sorry, for some reason, Ezreal slipped my mind.
Do you not play enough Ezreal to really think about it?
He did disappear from the scene forever, so
Yeah.
I'll let someone else interject here and jump in on these questions. Thank you so much. You're
Vayne?
actually, yeah, Vayne's good.
What do you think about Vayne? I've seen a lot of Corki.
Vayne
and
as a
lot
hero
of,
or Trinity Force on Vayne?
No, just Vayne as a hero in general. Because I've seen a lot of Easy lately, like Easy Leona, or like MF. I've seen a lot of MF and Nunu. But it seemed like Vayne would be like a good champion for that because
how do I feel about Vayne? I feel like Vayne...
you don't ever see her in any competitive play anymore.
Yeah, you pretty much only see Double If and and Tanso play Vayne, and I don't think that's because she's exactly strong. I just think it's because that's what they're most comfortable with, and they're very good at her. But Vayne overall as a champion, as far as how strong she is, I don't think she's very good because she's really weak in lane. You can really abuse her. And yeah, I just think like how weak she is in lane doesn't make up for how like strong she is later. Like she used to be a hyper carry, but she's received her nerfs as well. So it used to be worth it to get dominated in lane and then carry later. But since they gave her a couple of nerfs, I don't feel it anymore. I feel like her range is too short and it's really easy for her to get zerged in team fight. So I don't really like Vayne.
Oh, well, okay, speaking of, since we're going to keep talking about AD carries, because obviously that's what you play, what kind of runes do you run on most of your AD carries?
It depends. Most of the time, I'll run like 80 Quins, flat 80 Reds, armor yellows, and MR blues with a little bit of mana regen in the blues, depending on what champion I'm playing.
Now,
so.
Do any of the champions, because I've seen the math, and I've actually ran the math before, and technically you want to run full armor pen on the champions because it helps you out in the mid and the late game, but it makes it harder to last hit. I'm sure you've played with that before. Do you ever feel like running 10 armor pen, 9.8 AD or ever on any of your bottom laners, or do you just like the burst off of their skills with the the extra damage?
Armor pen's good. Like if you're running a kill lane because you do more damage to champion. So if you're running kill lane, you might want to run armor pen. If I'm running a hero where I know I'm only going to be farming early game and not doing anything but that, I'll run armor pen like on Tristana or Ashe, really late game heroes that really need the armor pen to be able to carry later.
Okay.
And there's no aggression early.
So you normally run a 10 9.8 page, or do you run like a full armor pen page when you do that?
I usually run armor pen reds and 80 quints. So
okay. I think that's the right math. I know it's 10 armor pen. I can't exactly remember what.
Yeah, you don't want
is.
too little AD because you will miss all the creeps and it'll suck for you. So.
Now, speaking of one other AD carry that we haven't seen any competitive play out of yet, well, actually, I think we've seen him once, maybe M5, is Varus. Have you been tooling around with him?
I played Varus a lot when he first came out. I actually really like Varus. I feel like he's really strong early and in lane, and he does a lot of damage, but when it comes to late game and team fight, he doesn't have an escape, and his passive is useless pretty much unless someone dies. So I think he's good early mid. If you can get fed on him, he can probably carry, and I have carried with him if I get really fed. But
sure.
I feel like in a competitive game where there's not a lot of kills and you just farm, and usually the game is drawn out, he's not very strong because he leaves a lot to be desired in team fights.
Okay, now that we haven't seen Caitlyn picked a lot in the games. She just recently got some, buffs to like her ultimate and to her responsiveness of her E. Do you feel that she will be played more? Do you feel like you'll play her more often, or do you think she's still kind of in the same area where she doesn't have a steroid like the other top 80 carries do?
I've actually been playing a little bit of Caitlyn lately. Caitlyn's always been like the hero you pick if you want to win lane. Like she is so strong in lane. With that range, she can just poke down her opponents, and they can't really do anything. But she's not very good later. I feel like you can pick Caitlyn. I don't feel like she's as strong as like Graves or Corki, but you can pick Caitlyn in a specific comp. Like if you want early game aggression, if you just want to push down their tower and group up, or you want to run like a poke comp or something like that, Caitlyn would be good. But other than that, there's probably stronger and safer picks. So she's very. It depends on what comp you're running. If you want to pick Caitlyn. Or if you just want to dominate lane, then you can pick Caitlyn, but you might suffer late game for that.
Okay.
It seems like kind of an interesting, choice you have there, though, because you have Vayne on the one hand who, used to carry really hard into late game, still carries pretty well, but generally doesn't win her lane, and you just don't pick her in competitive play because she can't win her lane. And then Caitlyn, on the other hand, almost always wins her lane. Of course, she doesn't have that steroid, doesn't have the traditional steroid, does have that extra range late game, but clearly she's not going to hard carry quite as well, but she does win that lane. So I'm surprised that we haven't seen her more, especially against like Graves or Corki, who kind of struggle a little bit against her if they can't initiate completely.
Yeah, they really struggle against her unless they can go all in. I feel like people over-exaggerate when they say Caitlyn's late game's bad. It's really not that bad. I mean, if you get hit by a headshot proc with a six item Caitlyn, you probably just lost half your health. So it's not that bad. And traps are really good, both for defending and pushing. Like, it's really hard to engage when there's 3 traps in front of you. Someone's going to step on one and die, obviously. So, yeah, I think Caitlyn's strong, especially if the enemy lane has no sustain. She's really strong. So, yeah.
So, we're talking about 80 carries some more. Urgot today, he just got a whole bunch of what looked like nerfs. He got a little bit of buff on his Q for late game damage, but only having 475 range and having the range nerfed on his E, and the range nerfed on his Q after you've landed an E on an opponent, is kind of it feels like it's going to knock him out of viability. How do you feel about Urgot now with these latest changes?
I looked at the nerfs and I was like, wow, he really got hit hard. Maybe bottom lane will actually be fun again. And I don't know, I haven't played against the new Urgot yet, but the nerfs look really big, and I think that he will definitely be toned down. Obviously, he'll still have the utility for his ultimate, which is a big part of him, but I don't think he'll really be able to bully lane as much. And I think since he's not able to dominate that bottom lane, he'll stop being a priority ban in competitive play. Because lately, if you look at any competitive plays or competitive games, you always see Urgot banned in every single game.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if I like the way Riot goes about it. Every time a champion is strong, they basically just take him out of the game completely, which is probably what they did to Urgot. But I don't know. I guess it was needed. I don't really know how else they could have fixed him. He was just completely broken.
I think everybody thought that they were taking Soraka out of the game when she got remade, but that sort of didn't happen. I mean, with this, Urgot's damage is going to be higher once he has 190 AD or more. Do you think people are just going to build him glass cannon, or?
See, that's the problem. It's really not good to build him glass cannon, because no matter like how much damage you build on him, you're not going to do as much damage as a standard 80 carry, and you really need the CDR and tankiness to be effective. So I don't know. We're just gonna have to see how it plays out. Like I said, I haven't played against him yet or as him,
right.
So I don't really know exactly.
Have you got to play the new Twitch yet?
Nope. Actually, the only game I played today, I played Ezreal. So
Okay.
No, I've seen the new Twitch and his damage looks ridiculous.
Did you see him as a jungler or an AD carry?
No, I saw him as an 80 carry. I was actually watching Chaos stream, and he got one shot by the Twitch like at level 1.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it seems pretty OP.
I didn't
So
want
would you say he's more viable than he has been in the past then?
Oh yeah, he's definitely more vibe. I believe he got a range buff too, and I think that was the biggest thing for me. It's like his range is too short to be viable. So yeah, that's pretty much the biggest thing with 80 carry. All the range you can get, like the better. Range is so important.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's
They
what
buffed his expunge too.
Yeah,
I saw that earlier. He did a lot of burst damage with his expunge.
Well, we got a few more questions here. We're rolling up on our time. We're trying to make this 25 minutes for you tonight because we had told you 30, so we were joking beforehand. And we're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna make it 25 minutes. Kind of a facetious question here. And this comes from Ranhert. For if any of those who may have listened to Trinity Force podcast, there's a thing called Ranhert syndrome where he dives towers. So yes, it's a question about you. He wants to know, how do you feel about tower diving, and if there's any situations you've ever been in that you feel like you can type in /all worth it.
Tower diving, it just depends on what's happening in a lane. Like the best example of a good tower dive I can think of is if, like for me, if I'm 2v1ing a lane, like me and my support are in a lane against like a solo person, we'll push up the lane or something, they'll be really weak, and we can maybe call for our jungler to go behind and kill them with like 3 people in one. That's the best situation to tower dive. Like with numbers, or if someone's just like being not smart and staying at a tower with no HP.
You
and
hear that,
can just
Tristan?
kill them and get out.
Don't dive 3
I don't
people.
do that all the time.
Yeah, but tower diving 1v1, unless like you usually only see that happen from like bruisers, because they can tank a few tower hits or something. When is it worth it to tower dive and die? Maybe if they have a killing spree, or if like there's a huge wave at the tower that they're gonna lose and you're not gonna lose anything. Or if you just really dislike the person and want to kill them. I guess it's worth it.
Yeah, it was just, like I said, it was just trying to be a funny question, because people who may know Trinity Force, the Ranhert syndrome is, Ranhert likes to dive towers, even when he's like level 3 and he doesn't even have flash up. And so it's just one of those things. I guess you have to know him, and it's hard to explain anyway.
I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
Okay. My question is, what teams do you not like to face when you're in a tournament? And what players on those teams do you not like to place? Fortnite hates facing CLG Black.
Why?
Akashi, for some reason, seems to think y'all are our biggest rival, and we always tend to lose against you guys anyway. So, when we get in a new tournament, and we see the brackets, the first thing he does is go, God, we got to play CLG Black in the second round. So, what teams are like that for you, for CLG Black?
Trying to think right now. I mean, basically, you're asking like what team I don't like to play against. What's hard for me? And this is gonna sound bad. I don't like playing against Doublelift. Like when I play against, like comparing Doublelift to other AD carries, like everyone else is pretty much even in skill, and I feel like I can outplay and win the lane. But when I play against Doublelift, I feel like it's Doublelift Chaucer lane is just really hard to play against. It's like really frustrating. I don't know. It's just really I don't like playing against him at all. Like I know they're our brother team.
Is it something that he does in particular in bottom lane, or is he just very good at positioning himself and
He's
very
just
good at
very
poking?
good mechanically and at trading. And maybe it's not just Doublelift, dude. Maybe it's the Tarek or Alistair just standing in front of the creep so I can't see us. Because that's all Chaucer does. And like I can't seem to. I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't figured out how to dominate lane against them. So yeah, pretty much. Just Doublelift Chaucer. I hate playing against those two. I mean, I love them, but I hate them. So yeah.
How do you feel about?
Oh, go ahead, Tristan.
How do you feel about Dignitas's bottom lane? They've just recently got rid of Locust, their support. Do you have any problems with Cutie Pie? Do you think he's a good carry or?
I've only ever played against Cutie Pie in a scrim, I think, once, and it was a pretty even lane phase, I think. But they had a Tarek, so it was hard to do anything. Like I don't know. I think he doesn't play much. I think he's like good enough to like win. You know what I'm saying? Like not like he like hard carries his team. He just plays well enough to like do well with the team. If that makes sense. Yeah, he's a good carry, but I don't think he's like one of those people just like oh my god, he just like carried his team on his back. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I have one more question for you. Who do you think is the best AD carry in the world? I mean, we have Odd One and Crumbs that most people stand out as like some of the top junglers. But who do you think is the best AD carry in the world? Would you put Doublelift in that spot?
Hold on, let me think about this question.
I know that was one of the kind of on the spot, putting you on the spot.
S80 carry. We're talking about mechanics. We're talking about how smart they are,
position,
how
all that
good looking
stuff.
they are, how many ladies they get, how well they talk.
I mean, normally you can't say an AD is like the best player in the world because an AD is always with his support.
Yeah, it's hard because
the
it's more
support's
about
really
how the
good.
bottom lane is in general. But I'm trying to think like even like late game positioning, all that stuff.
But I'm thinking like if you picked a player, if you put him in any team, he would do really well no matter what.
Well, that takes out a lot of people. Some people just play well because of their team. I'm really trying to think of who I would pick for this. This is like really hard.
Can you call out Chaos as being bad?
No, KX isn't bad. I think that's one of the people that I think if he was on TSM, like those five just play really good together. But I think if they all branched out, they maybe wouldn't do as good. But together, they're amazing. They're an amazing team. I don't think I can answer that question. It's too hard. Like some people are really good mechanically, and some people are smart, and some people position well, but no one seems to like have it all like in the complete package. So yeah, I don't.
Doublelift has to be pretty close though, because he's obviously very mechanically talented in lane, and his team fight positioning is pretty good.
Yeah, Doublelift is great mechanically. He has good positioning. He knows how to play. He knows how to win lane and trade and everything. But sometimes Doublelift, he just like walks into that bush and dies to five people. So that's the only reason why I didn't want to say Doublelift. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of really good ones, but I don't really know how to say who's the best overall.
That's fine. You know, I'm going to close out this podcast with one more question for you. Why is your name Hood Stomp? Why does it sound so much like Curb Stomp, and why does it sound so heinous?
I actually got his name when I was playing Counter-Strike Source. I was like Cal main or something, and like I saw the schedule for that week and who was playing or whatever, and there's this really good team. But they're kind of like trolls, and their team name was like Hood Stomp or something. I was like, wow, that's a cool name. So I just started using the name, and then it was like, okay, well, I'm black too, so I guess it makes sense. People be like, wow, his name is Hood Stomp. He's black. He must like live in the ghetto or something. That's so cool. So I don't know. I moved on to WoW and started using the name and using Han and stuff, and it's stuck. And people seem to like think it's a really interesting, cool name. So I stuck with it.